we're north for the last few weeks. In our videos, we went to the mountains overlooking Cebu. We've gone up to Medellin. We kind of went through that whole little area. We went up and back both ways, kind of saw the north. That was our last few weeks. That's what we're going to kind of talk about here.
Yeah, the north was awesome. We spent a few days up there. And then, I think we decided we want to come south.
Yeah, we're trying to see.
Check out the south, see the whole island while we're here. We've been in the city, well, we're going to be in the city for a month.
Yeah, and we're about halfway. We're more or less halfway.
Yeah, a little bit over halfway. A little bit over halfway.
Give or take a few days. But, so the next couple of weeks, we are going to be south side.
Yep.
South side. And, so we started this way. We flipped a coin.
Yeah.
And we came kind of northwest to go south.
Yeah.
And we ended up here. I think to circle back, we should talk about our start in Cebu.
Okay.
And why we came to the city. I'd love to know, I know this has been kind of the back and forth for you over this trip so far. You know, he plans a lot of the stuff, does a lot of the logistics. The thought to come here for a month, try to settle in a little bit more and see a lot of a bigger island versus kind of bouncing around like we did in Siargao, which wasn't too economical and left us pretty tired. We were kind of doing a lot of moving about and great time, but a lot.
Yeah.
So I guess work me through that decision-making time and then how it's been so far.
So the first month was a bit of a logistical nightmare, as you can imagine, but as to be expected, coming to a brand new country halfway around the world. It's just
weird.
Just part of the deal.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of kind of learning the land, if you will, and getting to know the people. And the more we've been able to integrate, the more we've been able to kind of figure things out. And what's a good deal, what's not a good deal, what we want to do, what we don't want to do. And then we're also kind of migrating from that thought process of being on vacation to being here.
Yeah.
Like we talked about. Yeah. Right. Like we talked about a couple of videos ago. How do we make this more of a lifestyle versus a vacation?
Yeah.
Right?
You know, how's it sustainable? How's so many questions.
Right. So bouncing around every second or third day to a different hotel is not sustainable. And so the way that we're traveling as two dudes is like we can't just go somewhere and get a queen bed. It's just not an option for us. Like we have to get two beds, but more sustainably, we have to get two bedrooms because we each really need our own space. Yeah. You can't travel side by side. We're great friends, but you can't, it's not sustainable to travel with a good friend and sleep in the bed right next to them for
months and
months. It's just, you can't do it. So that when you go on Airbnb, when you go on hotels and say, hey, we need a room, but we need either two beds, that cuts the options in half. And then when you say I need two rooms, that cuts the options by 3/4. And it gets infinitely more expensive too. So we started looking at, okay, well, how can we buy ourselves some time here, right? Because we're not rich. Like we're not rich guys. We don't have infinite amount of resources. We're here on a budget, but we want to be here for a long term on a budget. So we started looking at, okay, if we do things for a longer amount of time, things get more economical. Right? Yeah. Like if we rent cars for more than a week, the price goes down by 20-30%.
Right, which is huge.
If we rent them for a month, it goes down even more.
Yeah.
If we rent places longer than a week, the same formula holds true. So I was kind of thinking, well, why don't we just try out the city? And neither one of us, given the option, would probably choose to live in a big city back home.
But for here, like it's the city center that has all the resources that we could need should we need them. And then knowing that we would rent some type of vehicle, we would be able to explore so much of what that island has, right? So that was kind of the mentality. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like, okay, there's Cebu City and then there's so much of Cebu Island. And there was so much to kind of go through. And we've been doing that and it's been serving us well, but there's still an awful lot of time in that city And that's kind of the hard part over the long term. Because as far as I can tell, and some of my experience is that trying to get through traffic or just moving across a couple kilometers in the city becomes kind of more hassle than it's worth more often than you'd expect. So you'd go, okay, sure, there's a lot of stuff, but how often do I want to go out when I know that something that should take me a few minutes is going to take me 2 hours?
Yeah, that's true.
And you're like, okay, so I want to run one errand and it's going to cost me my afternoon.
It's true.
And it gets pretty exhausting. The city life, we're both very experienced in it. He spent a lot of time working in a bunch of big cities. I've been to big cities my whole adult life, and we can navigate that, and it's fine. We understand, but it's proven the second time not ideal.
Yeah, no, it's true, and a lot of pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
And just about every decision that we make. And I think this was one of those ones that we just wanted to test early on, right? So we had just been in probably one of the more remote islands.
Sure.
Well, probably not. I mean, there's 7,000 plus islands here, so there's way more remote islands.
Yeah.
But as far as one of the islands that popped up on our radar early,
Yeah.
Siargao, General Luna, surfing came up the most often, and it's a pretty remote island by city standards.
Yeah, infrastructure and things like that. Right?
Correct. And so we started in GL, which had a pretty decent infrastructure, but then we moved north
Yeah.
to Pacifico San Isidro,
Yeah.
and that didn't have much of an infrastructure. So I think we were kind of craving that at the moment,
Yeah.
and we kind of wanted to test that city theory. And so knowing that there was a budget at stake, we went ahead and booked an Airbnb for a month.
Yeah. Which hasn't been not fruitful. I'm grateful for everything that we've done so far. We've been pretty lucky, but we do know that maybe 1 month anywhere might be a little too long. And we learned that 1 month in a big city is rough. So we're still kind of going to do the back and forth and find out what that balance looks like, to see as much as we can see and to do as much as we can do. And it's just going to take some finessing for a
Yeah.
while, I think. Because now we're going to go somewhere next, and wherever we decide to go, we're going to have to say, is it like a 2.5 week thing? Is it like a 14-day, 15, 16-day thing? Then if we need to figure out what the logistics are to stay further, do we start at one end and then stay in the other end? Something like
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of options, but it comes down to the landscape of the island we choose, and it comes down, there's a lot of factors. And frankly, I'll be honest, I'm gracious that I don't have to always have the hard choice in making that decision, because you've been doing a lot of it, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, man. Well, it's catch-22, isn't it? It's like there's nowhere that we can go here that's not going to be amazing and different
Right.
and challenging, and it's going to be an all new experience
Yeah.
for us no matter what.
Yeah.
But we, as people, lean towards certain experiences, right?
for
I
sure.
think most people do, right? Like I enjoy A more than I enjoy B.
Sure.
And I think we both got to the point where we enjoy the city,
Yeah.
but I think we've also come to the realization that this is not why we've come to the Philippines.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
The traffic in Cebu has been a challenge. There's been days that I've woken up and go, okay, well, I want to go to such and such, but it's going to take me an hour to drive, I don't know, 6 or 7 kilometers. So I'm just not overly jazzed about doing that today. I've also woken up and gone, wow, I need some stuff. There's an amazing mall right up the street, and I can get some stuff taken care of. And there's those pros and cons and those challenges. And I think that I feel that I've done all we can do
Yeah.
in Cebu City at this
sure.
point, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to more of that Siargao kind of islandy lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree with that. Most cities are going to be, big cities, but I think we've done a pretty good job at trying to maximize where we can get into, where we can go, exploring the mountains as thoroughly as we could. Like that was not
was
easy
amazing.
driving, and we did it several days in a row. He did it several days in a row, and we explored the mountains, and it was like, that's kind of the cool part about staying in Cebu City, is like it's a long drive, but like you're so close to those island vibes
Yeah.
again, but you got to kind of want it.
Right.
It's not easy trekking all the time. You know, we're fortunate enough that we had a car, and maybe it would have been easier with bikes, but it left it to be a pretty comfortable experience overall,
Yeah.
having those options. And we did that. Now we don't have to do that again, which is nice.
Sure.
You know, when we first came back, we were on, you know, nearly a month of being island life, and we were excited to go back to the malls and make sure, you know, the things that we had been missing for the last few weeks we got taken care of. And then we met some people, and we went to some bars, and we went and did some karaoke, and like we started to feel, I think it might have been a disservice because we came back to the city life so easily and experienced all that it could have pretty fast.
Yeah.
We had a really good first weekend.
We did.
Well, I had a great first weekend. But like we had a pretty good time, and we did all the things that we saw some live music and like live comedy music, weird like
That was funny.
thing, and you know, we went to karaoke, and we tried all the food that we wanted to try in the area and stuff like that. So, you know, when we hit it as fast and as, you know, gnarly as we did, it didn't leave a whole lot left for like the city center area for us.
Yeah.
And there were some benefits. Like I had a lens that I needed to get repaired, and we were able to chill for the amount of time that it took to get that repaired. And we both got, you know, good deals on clothes that actually fit us that we needed.
Needed that.
Yeah. So like, again, I regret nothing.
Yeah.
I think we made a good move, but it could have been a 3, maybe even a 2-week deal.
Yeah, that's true. In hindsight, I probably would have done it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And called it.
Yeah. But it also could have been, you know, 3/4 or double the amount of money.
That's true. Right. That's
so,
again,
and yeah.
checks and balances.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been an interesting balance.
Yeah, that's true.
Always.
Yeah. No, you're right. But you hit the nail on the head. I don't regret any of it. There were things that we needed to do here. I'm glad we got them done. We're learning about the time frames and what we enjoy doing and where we want to spend our time.
Yeah.
And the good thing is I think that's really put us on a clear path for what we want to do next.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we're learning every day. So the more information and the more experiences we have, the more we know exactly where we need to be guided and directed. And even to coming here, driving through, you know, Mobile and going, okay, this is fine, but neither of us are necessarily jazzed about like trying to just go canyoneer and do the thing that's really fun. But where else is there for us? Like where in the South is going to be our next story and our next experience, and that's what we'll kind of be doing over the next 2 days.
Sure.
Is figuring that out, because there's more to all of these islands than like the way that like the locals can make money and stuff like that, and I think it's so worth trying to explore that.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. It's as the logistics guy and as the guy that is supposed to put us into situations where we can make compelling content.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is the way we're going about it doesn't always lead to something that we've planned.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And I've enjoyed the process of just figuring things out as we go, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, just like in life, we make great decisions, and other times it's just not the most ideal. So we learn from each situation, and we grow from it, and I'm way more excited about our upcoming weeks and months that we have planned versus when we first got here. And for me, I look at that as really good growth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because having not known what to expect when we landed here on October 3rd or where this whole thing was going to go to now, 5-6 weeks later, having a really good understanding and idea of exactly what we want to do and where we want to go, and some of the content that we have planned coming up, is that's really good growth.
Yeah.
For me in a really short amount of time. Some really good stuff coming up. I'm super stoked and super excited. I know you are too.
Oh man, this is gonna get pretty crazy fast. We're starting to figure it out.
that's the danger zone, right? I mean, highway to the danger zone.
Yeah,
we are figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah.
And we've got some pretty epic islands to go visit, and then we're gonna migrate from city life into. Do you say provincial? Would you say provincial or
Provincial?
provincial?
Is provincial a word?
I don't know. I
Man,
really don't know.
I'm a few red horses deep.
By
We're
the way,
going-
our sponsor, to be.
Not a sponsor,
Come on.
but I want to have a sponsor.
They should be a sponsor.
San Miguel.
Can we all agree they should be a
Horse.
sponsor?
Yeah.
We love Red Horse. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Michigan,
Red Horse, if
Michigan
you're listening,
fan, yeah.
we would love for you to sponsor us. We would be your best ambassadors, as we already have been. But we are on some epic plans, and we've got some pretty good stuff coming up here, man, if I say so myself.
Yeah. Anything is possible.
It's true. So stay tuned, stay put. As our friend Mark would say, like, subscribe, and comment. But we don't like to say that here.
And then, go to the Jamie O'Brien store or whatever.